Good evening and welcome to this special expanded edition of Newsmax Prime. I'm J.D. Hayworth in for Steve Malzberg. Of prime interest tonight, showtime in Cincinnati. You are looking live at the Sharonville Convention Center, where Donald Trump is speaking to a full House following his introduction by former House Speaker Newt Gingrich. Let's look and listen.
We announced trade deficit numbers for the month, which were like almost record-setting. We have trade deficits that are worse than ever before. All I've done for years is talk about trade deficit. I used to talk about Japan. Now I talk more about China, but it's still Japan. It's everybody. It's everybody. We don't make good deals with anybody. But last night I was talking about trade because I love it. It's my favorite subject. That and strengthening our military and taking care of our vets. They're my favorite subject. No, they're my favorite subjects. Other than my children or my grandchildren. I could talk about my grandchildren. Let's see. He was 39 minutes in the back of a plane talking about his grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, the president is going to talk about his grandchildren. Well, I have two. He has two. I have 8. He has 2. But he talked about how long are you going to talk about them? I'll bet they're beautiful. 2 beautiful children. So he says, they're beautiful. They're really smart. They're really good. I love them so much. They're unbelievable. You know, one is brand new, beautiful little baby. Okay, after about a minute, what can you talk about? Oh, you can say, here's a picture, look. Okay, so that's 1 minute out of the 39-minute time, right? Then we talk about golf, right? So you say, Jack Nicklaus, who endorsed me. I love Jack. Jack, he's the greatest. Jack. Did you know Jack endorsed me? Do you know how young Jack was when he won the Ohio State Championship? Jack Nicklaus. He is the greatest guy, and he's a friend of mine. And he endorsed me. I didn't ask for the endorsement. I don't want to do that. I feel like sort of guilty when I ask these people for endorsements. I don't want to do that. Jack endorsed me. I said, thank you, Jack. I appreciate it. He said, well, you're going to do a great job. You're going to shake things up. Now, when you talk about winners, is Jack a winner, right? Did you see U.S. Open was on the other day? I think Jack Nicklaus was in the top 10, like, I think it was 18 times. He was in the top. I've never seen anything like it. His record's unbelievable. He won it 4 times. Top 10, 18 times. I mean, this guy is a winner, right? So when I get endorsements from Jack Nicklaus, Bobby Knight. Bobby will be speaking at the convention. We have so many people. We have such a great convention planned. But I just have to go back. So this is the final thing. So last night I made a great speech, standing ovation. Everyone went crazy. Nobody talks about the crowd. Every time I go home, my wife says, how was the crowd? Again, they didn't show. They never show the crowd. I tell you, they only show when we have protesters. I love my protesters. Don't we have any damn protesters today? Because when we have protesters, you think you have one? No, he's too. No, he's friend or foe? Friend or foe? He's friend. Okay, but I love my protesters because the cameras spin around in angles that you wouldn't believe. They do somersaults around to it. They look like a sausage. Because my first 2 speeches, I had no protesters. And every time I went home, big crowds. And every time I went home, I said, did you see the size of the crowd? No, I didn't. Now, you can hear the size. Like last night, you heard the size, right? Many, many more than the president and Hillary got. But, so people would say, well, I hear it. You know, they hear that burr, you know, that sort of humming sort of, That's not like from 12 people. But we have this treadmill. So what happens is, last night, we have a great evening in North Carolina. We're going to win North Carolina. We're doing great there. We're going to win Ohio. We're doing great here. By the way, the section I just left last week, wonderful congressman and his wife, and I said to him, I won't use them. I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I said, did you endorse me? He said, even if I don't like you, I would endorse you. You know why, Mr. Trump? You have a 29-point lead in this section of Ohio. 29 points. I said, you're right. You have to endorse me. We're going to take care of our miners, and we're going to take care of our steel workers. Hillary's not. She's going to put you out of business because if she ever won, she would sign TPP which will make NAFTA, which was signed by her husband, which the worst, in my opinion, the worst trade deal in the history of this country, and it's not even close, signed by Bill Clinton. And he didn't suffer from it. It was everybody that followed him that suffered from it. Where your jobs are moving, I look at your jobs where they're moving down to Mexico, right? They're moving to Mexico, one after another. They're moving to Mexico. China's coming in, dumping the steel, making it impossible for your steel plants. They're devaluing their currencies. We do nothing about it. Folks, I'm going to do so much about it. It's going to be so easy. It's going to be so easy. It's going to be so easy. So last night, we had this time. And then I wake up and I hear, number one, I love Saddam Hussein. I hate Saddam Hussein. But I love Saddam Hussein, according to the press, because they're dishonest as hell. They heard what I said. And number two, and they said it very, very strongly, they said, he should have spoken about Hillary Clinton longer. Now, I wrote out like 4 pages that I wrote out, and I read it, point by point by point. And after a long time, I don't know, many, many minutes, I got thousands of people. And this really stupid guy, Chuck Todd. I won't use his name. I refuse to use his name. I refuse to call him Sleepy Eyes. I'm not going to call him Sleepy Eyes anymore. But he's talking about he had an opportunity to hit Hillary Clinton. Did you see what I did to her last night? I just went, am I correct? I mean, it got to a point. I was hitting her so hard. And the problem is I'm a professional. And I'm hitting her so hard. And I know it doesn't mean anything because the system is rigged and it's fixed and it's broken. So I'm doing it, and I'm doing it because I feel I have to do it. And it's sort of boring to do it, to be honest with you. So I didn't want to, and I wanted to get on to the military and the vets. I wanted to get on to these other subjects. I wanted to get on to terror, okay? Because we are going to experience things that you won't even believe, folks. Watch the predictions. Lots of predictions, right? And I wanted to get on to terror. And one of the reasons the women are liking me a lot lately is because, thank you, thank you, because they feel I'm going to keep our country safe. I'm going to keep our country safe. And they love Ivanka, and they love Melania. And Melania and Ivanka and Eric and Tiffany and Don are going to be speaking at the convention. So we're going to... And by the way, so just to finish, by the way, so I get hit this morning like, he had the opportunity to go after... Everyone said I made a great speech. I'll tell you how bad my speech was last night. CNN covered it from point to point without a commercial. Fox covered it practically from beginning to end. Others covered it from... That's how bad my speech was yesterday. That's how bad. If it were bad, folks, these guys, they don't care about polls. They don't care about anything. They only care about one thing. What's the one thing? Ratings. Ratings. So I made a speech last night that some of the folks gave an A to. Some of them gave an A+ to. But when I saw NBC, Sleepy Eyes Chuck Todd this morning, he said, he had a chance to really go after Hillary Clinton. Oh, what I did to her. But, after a while, we have to talk about other things. Okay, so here's the story. We're going to make America great again. We're going to make America great. We're going to take our country back. For everybody, not for us. Not for this room. Not for this room, not for the overflow room. Not for the people outside. We're going to take our country back for everyone. We're going to take it back for African-American youth who have a 59% unemployment rate, by the way. 59%. We're going to take it back for African-American youth who have a 59% unemployment rate and have no chance. They have no chance in our society. You know who I just spoke to? Big Don King. Big Don King. Just spoke to him 10 minutes ago. I said, Don, I'd love you to speak at the convention. Because you know what? You beat the system. And he's a friend of mine. Big Don, greatest boxing promoter of all time. In fact, somebody said, and Mike Tyson endorsed me, as you know. And Don King endorsed me. You know what Don King did? He owns a newspaper. He endorsed Donald Trump for president, Bernie Sanders for vice president. How do you like it? He put a big ad in the paper, his paper. He wants Bernie Sanders for vice president. I said, that's a new one. That's Big Don King. So, wow. I like that too. We like Newt. And I'll tell you what. Newt has been my friend for a long time. And I'm not saying anything, and I'm not telling even Newt anything, but I can tell you, in one form or another, Newt Gingrich is going to be involved with our government. That I can tell you. Okay? He's going to be involved. He's smart. He's tough. He gets it. And he says, I'm the biggest thing he's ever seen in the history of politics. And now, Newt's going to be involved if I can get approval from his wife. That may be tough, but that's okay. And you know, I have somebody else very special here. So I have wonderful children. And you know, I'm lucky. They were smart. They were born smart, okay? They were smart. God was good. And they went to great schools, and they did well, and they're in business, and they do well, and they feel so strongly about what I'm doing. They don't even like it in terms of doing it themselves. They love what they're doing. And my one boy is here, Eric Trump. Eric. And I'm very proud of Eric. He's done a great job in the real estate business. Now I threw him into this political business. I don't know. He's doing a damn good job, but he loves the real estate. And you know what I did? Let me tell you a little story. I love this. I love this crowd. Isn't it nice when you don't read from a speech? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. Or Hillary with the teleprompters every single time. And whether you go north and south or east and west, Donald Trump is a bad person. Donald Trump made a lot of money in Atlantic City, but he hurt the little people. She calls it the little people. He hurt the little people. He didn't. Made a lot of money. And government, what they did. I'll tell you, did you see that sham? I left 7 years ago. But she goes this, and then after a little while, do you ever notice after about 12 minutes people start leaving? We can't do that. The nice part is, let me tell you. So I go to Scotland, and I know I'm going to get killed if I go to Scotland because the press is so dishonest. I went there to make sure that my boy, who I bought Turnberry 4 or 5 years ago, and we're doing this massive renovation, just like we're going to be opening the old post office in October. We're a year ahead of schedule. I could open it sooner, but I want to get it as close to the election as possible. Does that make sense to you? In fact, I was going to open it in August. I'm delaying the opening because I want it to be so close, because when I open it, even if I delay it a month or two, the hotel's going to open sooner. But I want to say, we're more than a year ahead of schedule, and we're under budget, and the product is even better than I said it was going to be, right? Maybe I'll open it on November 7th, the day before the big day. Oh, we're going to have, and the press will be there. They'll be there by the hundreds, but they won't say we're under budget. They won't say we're ahead of schedule. But that's okay. People know. But what happened is we have children. And I want to support my children. I think I've been a good father. And I want to support my children. So I put Eric Trump, like individual things. Ivanka's been great. Don's been great. Tiffany's just starting now. She just is graduating from college. Barron has great potential, but he's 10, you know. But he's got great potential. But I put my children, as they grow a little bit older, in charge of different jobs. And I put Eric in charge of the great Turnberry Resort in Scotland, where they home of the British Open, which now they call the Open Championship. And Eric spent the last year going back and forth. He'd spend 2 days over there, then come back, then go back and fight with contractors, and he got great contractors, and they did an unbelievable job. I've been hearing about it. So I said, you know, if I go over there, these dishonest, horrible human beings are going to say, Trump went over to play golf. Trump in the middle of a campaign. I can't do that, but I have to support my children, right? Do you agree? If you were... So I said, you know what? I want to fly over, and I want to fly back. And I want to support my son. So what happened, but just to show you how just to show you how dishonest Hillary Clinton is and the press. So I go out, we have the bagpipes, we have everything, we have a ribbon cutting on the 9th tee, on the beautiful 9th tee overlooking the ocean, and the beautiful lighthouse, one of the greatest courses anywhere in the world. We rebuilt the course, we rebuilt everything, we rebuilt the hotel, it's great. And that was the day that Europe had the big turn where UK left, right? They left. And I said, not bragging, but I have a pulse, right? That's what we need. We need somebody with touch. We have horrible people that have no touch, no brain, no nothing. So you had Obama saying, if that happens, they're going to go to the back of the line. I would say that wasn't a great. I think Obama might have been the reason that they broke away. Okay? He doesn't help things. He actually said that the UK is going to the back of the line. Not a nice statement. Not a nice. Can you imagine if I said that? The back of the line? Oh, would I be killed for that statement? So he said they're going to the back of the line. Okay. Bottom line is, he asked me a lot of times. I said, no, I think they're going to break away. I think they want their independence. I think they're going to break away. I see what's happening with the migration. I see where countries are being forced against their will to take these people that don't want them. And instead of building these wonderful places where they can ultimately go back to their homeland, where they want to be anyway, they're just being forced. So Germany is a disaster right now. Sweden, parts of Sweden. I mean, things are really bad. So I said, I think they're going to, and by the way, the odds were 20% that I'd be right, 20%, because they said it's not going to happen. They're going to approve, and that's going to be the end of that. I was right. They broke away. They broke away. I was right. And then the next day they said, oh, Trump was right. The same thing could happen in the United States. Let me tell you, we're going to be right a second time, folks. It's going to happen again. Because we're tired of incompetent people. We're tired of incompetent leadership and incompetent people. And Hillary Clinton, I said, bad judgment, she's incompetent, okay? She's incompetent. The only good thing she's ever done is get out of trouble when anybody else would have been in jail by now. That's the only thing that I've ever seen her do that was a great job. I got to give her credit. I got to give her credit. I got to give Bill Clinton credit for going to that plane and saying for 39 minutes he talked about his grandchildren and he talked about golf. There's no way you could do that. I told you, 2 minutes for the grandchildren, 2 minutes for golf. We got 35 or 36 minutes left. What are we going to do? Let's talk about Hillary. And Hillary then talks about, I think I'd reappoint the attorney.
Donald Trump at the Sharonville Convention Center just outside Cincinnati, Ohio. We hope to return for more of Mr. Trump's remarks as we get our picture literally cleared up a little bit there. Let me set the scene for you there. Last night, while Donald Trump had just finished that rally in Raleigh, North Carolina, people showed up at the Sharonville Convention Center outside Cincinnati to camp overnight. And as we understand it, even more people set themselves up, got in line this morning around noon, or in line for at least 6.5 hours. Let's go back to hear Donald Trump conclude his remarks in Cincinnati.
Waited a little bit longer. Don't just come out with 1 or 2 sentences. Talk about it a little bit. So look, again, trouble. So here's what happened. So I go to Scotland. Beautiful. The weather was beautiful. The waves are crashing up on the rocks. We're opening the course, getting ready to cut a ribbon. We have so many press. We had over 400. Hope, the legendary Hope. How many? 400? 400. 450. It was unbelievable because they were all there for Brexit. And they were all there to see what was going to happen. Will the UK break away? And now that's about 6 hours old, so they're bored. They want the next story. So the next story is Trump. So I go there. And all of a sudden, I start hearing these things. What's Trump doing in Scotland? Well, he's playing golf. Okay, so I have a news conference. It was a great news conference. Even Newt said that was a great news conference, right? I did a good job, Newt? When Newt says I did a good job, he's a very critical guy. He sometimes says, I don't like what he's saying, but there I did a good job, right? Newt. So let me just tell you. So I'm answering. I said, any questions? So I'm not talking about any questions. And the place goes crazy. The cameras, I'm telling you, we had as big a group of media as you've ever seen. They all drove up. from London, different places. Everybody just converged on Turnberry. So I'm taking questions. One of the questions was, Mr. Trump, if the pound goes down, how will Turnberry do? So I say, I didn't bring this up. I said, look, here's what happens. If the pound goes down, Turnberry will do very well because a lot of people are going to travel to the UK. They'll come to Scotland. Turnberry's going to do very well if the pound goes down. Okay, period. That's it. I answered the question. Next day, it's in an ad by crooked Hillary Clinton, and I'm all over the place. But they don't show the question. Here's the thing. They sort of, did you hear Donald Trump? All he talked about was his resort. And they show me. They don't show the question. If the pound goes down, Turnberry's going to do very well. Okay? Then they gave me a golf club. I said, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to touch golf. I don't want to, I'm leaving. I inspected the hotel. I inspected the course. I said, Eric Trump, you did a great job. I'm getting the hell out of here now. Because I want to be back campaigning. I'm going to get out. Congratulations. My boy, I love you. Come up, Eric, come up. I love you, my boy. I love you. I said, that's my 6'6" boy, but he's always going to be my boy, right? So I said, Eric, I'm out of here. I'm going. I'm leaving. I got to go. But they said, Mr. Trump, would you like to hit the first ball? No, I don't want to touch your club. Because I know if I touch a club, these horrible, horrible human beings, plus the Hillary Clinton 1,000-people staff that she has, right, will come up with a clip of me holding a golf. So I don't want to touch it. So we cut the ribbon. I inspected the property. I'm very proud of the job he did. Unbelievable job. And I went around and I got out of there. I was in Scotland one night. That's not easy. It's a long trip, right? I was there one night and I was out of there. So here's what happens. The next day, the news comes on. Donald Trump, who went to Scotland in the middle of the campaign to play golf. But here's what's worse. They took my statement on the pound. If the pound goes down, Turnberry's going to do great. They don't know I'm answering a question. So everyone thinks I'm bragging and I want the pound to go down. Okay, but here's the worst. So that crooked, disgusting group that works for Hillary Clinton. Now remember, I never touched a club. They show me hitting a ball. Donald Trump playing golf in Scotland during the, troubles and everything else of the world. And they put it in an ad. But the picture was from 2 years before at a different course. The only good thing, no, it's true. And they said playing golf at Turnberry. So 2 good things happened out of it. Number one, the head of Turnberry called me up. He said, sir, did you take an ad because we're being swamped with business? I said, really? That's good, right? That's good. And the other thing is the swing looked good. They didn't put one of my bad swings. I have them too. The swing actually looked good. So Hillary, thank you very much. But you know what? How dishonest is that? So they show me playing golf at Turnberry, and I didn't play golf. I was 2 years, the picture was 2 years old, or more. In fact, it was more. You know how I can tell it was more? I was even thinner. I said, man, I like that. Actually, I never went too well because I love the swing and I look thin. Well, relatively thin, okay? But I just want to say, this young guy, my daughter, my other son, Don, my wife, who puts up with a lot with all of that we're going on. I mean, this is big stuff. This is big stuff. But my family has been my sister, who's incredible, my sister, who's a federal judge, Court of Appeals, my other sister, Elizabeth, my brother, Robert, who's a great guy. I have one brother who passed away, but I have great children. Tiffany has been so amazing. My kids, my family have been so unbelievable, and this is not easy for them. They go out. Mostly people love it, but some people don't. The one thing that's interesting, and I told this to Eric on the plane, my wife said, when you go out, everybody loved you. Now most people love you, but there's people that don't. You never had those people before. I said, but we have to make America great again. And ultimately, hopefully, my biggest dream is to have those people love me too. Not because of me, but because we're going to do such a great job. Does that make sense? Right? So I'll introduce Eric Trump. Eric Trump did an unbelievable job. He's doing an unbelievable job. And he was pushed into the world of politics, not because he wanted it, but because I said, good luck on television tonight. You're doing the show. So Eric Trump, everybody.
Wow.
And as Donald Trump surrenders the podium to Eric Trump, his son, following an interesting talk, Donald Trump always involved on the stump in a kind of stream of consciousness, almost as if here's what's going on behind the scenes, and this is what I'm going through in this brand new experience of getting involved in politics. But to the news tonight, at that rally just outside Cincinnati, did you hear the crowd reaction for Newt Gingrich? Did you hear the complimentary things that Donald Trump had to say about Newt Gingrich? And in fact, the jokes that Donald Trump was telling at his own expense, saying sometimes Newt doesn't agree with me and he tells me I do a bad job. It seems, based on what we are seeing tonight, based on informal polling, based on what I have heard from the grassroots conservative movement, most Republicans, most of the Trump base, want to see Newt Gingrich as Donald Trump's running mate. For purposes of full disclosure, you may note in my own record, I was elected to Congress in 1994 from Arizona, part of the first Republican majority in 40 years, a majority that obviously we should credit the people who voted, but Newt Gingrich for being a member of the House Republican leadership who made it come to pass and who, of course, wound up as Speaker of the House.